So I guess it's Truth Day here at YouTube, right? So after calling Barr a psyop, I have a bunch of responses, which is good. And most of them are positive, which is good. Some of you would like to believe that Barr is good because you have to believe Barr is good in order to believe that Trump is going to clean the swamp. Or that he's even going to pull a tiny little plug somewhere. He can't pull the plug. He can't drain the swamp if he doesn't have help. And I had a few comments that said, well, he's just going to use Barr for a little bit and then he'll get somebody else in. Well, I'm sorry. He's 2.5 years into a presidency. The new 2020 election will begin before Thanksgiving. Nobody is going to propose anything before the holiday season. And unless he's willing to turn the whole world upside down, we are now down to, this is the 4th month, that's the 11th month, we're down to 6.5 months max out of a 4-year presidency to do something. So I'm going to say to you, Barr's not there to do something, okay? All right, so let's look at the other parts of this. I put in here that we have the modern Bolsheviks. And why is it I'm calling a bunch of United States senators Bolsheviks? Well, because they are puppets. They are Rothschild, bankster, Zionists, puppets. And I have to say it like it is. And so were the Bolsheviks. Marx and Lenin and Stalin were all managed, and Trotsky were all managed and paid for by Rockefeller and Rothschild, by the big banksters, by the money folks. They were there to take down the Russian government because the Russian government wouldn't capitulate and allow the banksters to run Russia. And so they had to get rid of the Tsar. And they'd been trying for 100 years. They finally got the job done. And they did it with the Bolsheviks. So what do we have with modern Bolsheviks? Well, we got cute little Shrimpo Marco Rubio. And little Marco Rubio is a United States Senator. You're going to be surprised to find out that he's actually part of the United States Senate. Because the first bill he proposes in 2019, fresh and hot off the griddle, on January 3rd, the first day of the new term, what does he propose? It's called Senate Bill number 1. He's got the first bill in. And it's called Strengthening America's Security in the Middle East Act of 2019. And in it, they put together pieces of 3 or 4 other bills that didn't pass in 2018, and so they did kind of a reverse Federal Reserve Act. They shuffled the deck and did it over again, right? And so what's in this cute little act that I should be concerned about? Well, there are 4 components, and some of these have been turned down before. So the first component is the Ileana Ross Leitinen United States Israel Security Assistance Authorization Act of 2019. That's part of it. And it's the 2018 text can be seen here. This would give Israel $33 billion in addition to $5.5 billion that was enacted in last year's defense spending bill. So we're using our defense spending bill to provide defense for Israel. I didn't think that Israel was one of the states of the United States, but maybe I should be reapprised of the truth of it. So this reportedly is the largest military aid package in U.S. history to a tiny little country with what, 6 million people? No, yeah, well, we just have to protect them no matter what. Why don't we get rid of all the wars there and we won't need to protect them? So Rand Paul threatened to filibuster it in 2018, but I want to tell you because he's got a picture in the bottom of my little presentation because he voted for this one. He threatened to filibuster on the last one, but he voted for this one. So most Americans believe that we already give too much money. This thing is a fourth as big as the tax breaks that were given last year that Trump was so touted. If we had not done this, we would have 25% more tax breaks. And if we guided it properly, it would make hundreds of dollars of difference to each family over the next year. I do the math, it's not quite that much, but it's quite a bit of money. So another part of the bill is called combating. This is the one that, by the way, gets my hackles up. Can you see hackles? All right. Enough theater, right? Combating BDS Act of 2019. No, that's not some kind of dark leather and whips kind of deal, BDS or whatever it's called. This is that allows state and local governments to prohibit contracting with any entity that participates in BDS. Boycott of Israel. Over Israel's violations of human rights and international law. Many groups and individuals oppose the bill on the ground that it violates the freedom of speech. But AIPAC, that most people pledge themselves to, that end up in Congress, is a strong supporter of this legislation for obvious reasons. It means that if we are not allowed as individuals or as businesses to boycott those who we feel violate our fundamental rights, this is going to penalize us. This is the part of it that says you don't have the freedom of speech, you don't have the freedom to use your money, to use your buying power to change the will of others who are doing illegal things. If you want to take a look at Blackstone Intelligence, if you want to see some of the downside of Palestinian mistreatment. Take a look at No More News, KNOW More News, Adam Green. These guys talk day and night about all of this stuff, and there are Palestinians that are being shot like cattle, like rabbits, for target practice. They're being starved, they're being cornered, they're being removed, and this bill would take away our freedom to object to that. And that is unconscionable, and apparently one state has already ruled that it is unconstitutional, which I think it is. It violates my fundamental freedom of speech to walk with my pocketbook. All right, the third component is the United States-Jordan Defense Cooperation Extension Act, which would provide money to Jordan as long as they were good little boys and girls there in Jordan, and as long as they complied and participated with the U.S. aid military packages to the Middle East governments to enable Israel's regional divide and conquer strategies. So Jordan gets a bone if they're good. The fourth component is the Caesar Syria Civilian Protection Act of 2019, and there is a 2018 version which imposes sanctions on Syria, and Roll Call reports that the bill would serve as a rebuttal to President Trump's recent announcement that he was going to withdraw troops from Syria, which of course he reversed himself on about 48 hours after he got good press for it. So what the Senate has said with this bill is, Trump, if you actually pull troops out of Syria, if you actually wind down, if you actually disallow or disavow or disapprove of our invasions into Syria and our protection of the borders and the broadening of the rights and the power of Israel in that part of the world, we are going to impose sanctions on top of it. Now this, surprisingly enough, has passed the United States Senate, which is part of the reason that we have this nasty Bolshevik Senate that is completely overrun, overpowered, blackmailed, and penciled, moneyed in by the bankster Zionists, who did the exact same thing with the Bolsheviks 100 years ago, okay? So these are Bolsheviks. And the Bolsheviks include, drum roll, play it up, let's see where we go from here. So there were 77 people that voted for this, including all the Republicans. If you guys think the Republicans are the good guys, no, you're not right. You're not right. They're all sold out. Half the Democrats voted, roughly. I think it was 23, 26 or something like, or 23, 21 or something like that. So this is, and this includes, let me get this squared away on it. We've got co-sponsors, including Mitch McConnell. There he is. Roy Blunt, Missouri. Ted Cruz of Texas. These guys have sold out. They're not make America great again. They are make somebody else great again, and make it as part of the first act of the United States Senate of 2019. Who is it that we consider first? Is it the veterans? No, it's not the veterans. Is it health care? No, it's not health care. Is it the military budget? Is it building border walls? No, it's none of the above. We're going to do something for Israel. We got to do that first. That's the first thing out of the hopper in the 2019 Senate. So we've got Cindy Hyde-Smith of Mississippi. We've got Susan Collins of Maine. We've got Pat Roberts of Kansas. And we've got James Inhofe of Oklahoma. Those are the co-sponsors. I may have missed one or two of them. But we also have votes on this, and this included, as I say, close to half the Democrats, including Chuck Schumer and a bunch of others. Mark Warner of Virginia. Who else did I get in here? Let's not miss these guys. So we've got, I never want to miss him, we've got Willard Mittens Romney, the new guy in the block that talks like he should be president, even though he never, thank God, will be. We've got people on the Judiciary Committee who should never have voted for this because it violates our fundamental right of free speech. What the hell happened to Chuck Grassley, the guy that was the lead guy in the Judicial Committee? What the hell happened to him? What the hell happened to little Lindsey Graham, who voted for it? What the hell happened to Rand Paul, who threatened to filibuster and voted for it? He got in line like everybody else. So we've got, who else do we have? We got little Chucky Schumer, as I've mentioned. We've got, what's her name? Kirsten Enema. No, it's Sinema, right? From Arizona, the new one, the Democrat, a liberal, progressive Democrat. She voted in favor of. There you go. We've got Ron Wyden of Oregon, a Democrat. He voted for it. Which of these people thought about my right, your right, to object to the activities and engagements and violations of fundamental human rights of another country, any other country? This happens to be Israel, but if Japan invaded somebody, would we have the right to boycott them? If Brazil invaded somebody, would we have the right to boycott companies that were Brazilian? Where do they get off? It's part of our freedom of speech. It's part of our right to respond. And so it is absolutely inexcusable at many levels. So what I'm going to say to you is, be aware. These are Bolsheviks. They're sold out, and they have given our rights away in preference for their own elections, their own re-elections, the goodies they get to run and to rerun, to cover for the blackmail that many of them are under, and to go for private enterprise when they get out, to have their pockets filled when they get done. Now, obviously, I can't say to you, well, some of these senators are on the make. Well, I guess I could say that. I can't say which ones are. My inclination is to say to you, more of them than not. What would you say to that? So, the Bolshevik Senate, the Bolshevik in Congress, they're all Bolsheviks, and any of them that prefer another country and the moneyed bankster Zionists or other facets that are willing to give them money to pay off and get their way are Bolsheviks. They are not there for us. And I think we ought to call them Bolsheviks. We ought to call them for what they are. Okay? So, thank you for watching. If you like this, give a thumbs up. If there's anybody I talked about you like, it's tough potatoes, man. Tough potatoes. And don't be surprised if the House of Representatives pass this as well and Trump signs it. Don't be surprised. And if you think it benefits us to give $38 billion to Israel and that we should be silenced, as Trump has also suggested in the freedom of speech of schools stuff, that we should be silenced about anybody's misbehavior, you can unsubscribe right down here. Right down here. Is that where it is? I don't know where it is. If not, I welcome you to be here. I welcome your thoughtful, reflective engagement. I appreciate the fact that sometimes you folks disagree with me and you still tolerate me. That's all good. So thanks again. Thumbs up if you like it. Please leave comments. You can see I respond to most of them, at least until my eyes blur out. So thanks so much.